Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Reinventing Mental Health, where we're moving beyond symptom management to root cause solutions for mental health symptoms. Today, we have with us Chandani Patel Thompson, and she's here to share a little bit about herself and how she is making wonderful changes for other people in the world. So, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Mary, for having me.
All right, so tell us a little bit about you and what you do.
So I have spent the last 20 years inside of some of the most incredible companies. I started my career at Apple and I took a business law class in undergrad. And I knew if I was going to go to grad school, I was going to go to law school. So I started my career in the legal department when iTunes was a baby at Apple. I was there for a few years and I decided the only next step was for me to go to law school. So I went to law school while I was still working there for the first year. And then I realized I can't do both. And I went full time to pursuing my JD MBA. But I knew I always wanted to work in house corporate legal departments when I finished school. And so I ended up getting my JD and MBA knowing that. And from there, my career really was lifted by the Apple name. And I had the opportunity to really work at some amazing companies from Sephora to Pop Sugar Media to Pandora and Adobe. And then most recently, TuneIn Radio. TuneIn was just recently acquired and I was laid off about 6 months ago now. So I guess in May, which was not easy, but it's been a process since then to kind of find who I am beneath the title and reinvent myself or find my identity without the lawyer that I've been. I was practicing for 13 years and yeah, I'm really living the dream life. I felt really successful on paper and I loved being a lawyer, but the pace was relentless and there was a lot of pressure to perform and be perfect all of the time. And then about a little over a year ago, which you and I talked about, I started practicing gratitude. And it was kind of like happenstance where I'd always kind of been a journaler off and on, but of course, with everyday busyness, I never kept up with it consistently. And then in November 2024, we were going through a really difficult time during my time at work and a lot of changes, kind of a lot of layoffs had happened, I think by then, maybe 5 or 6. And I just picked up a gratitude journal on Amazon and it was a 6-minute practice. And I was like, I can do that. It's a low lift. And so I started practicing gratitude in the morning for 3 minutes. And then in the evening, I would just kind of ask myself what I did or what my wins were. I'd kind of drop some notes down. And I did that for a consistent 60 days. And it was like kind of like I woke up and even though the journal was 90 days, I knew after about 60 days, I just felt really light and like I couldn't put a pin on it. I was like, why do I feel like so much lighter, like less pressure? And then I started really studying the science behind gratitude and I just fell in love with it. And it was kind of at that moment, so early 2025, not earlier this year, that the only thing I didn't like about the journal was I didn't have enough space. And as a lawyer, we're like full of needing context and wanting the space to write and really express ourselves. And so I was like, you know what, if I'm maybe, one day I'll make my own gratitude journal and I'll make it for lawyers because I couldn't find something that was really beautiful and really spoke to the legal mind in a way that honored their brilliance. And so that is what I set out to do. I just happened to find a mentor to help me through this, like the whole process. And it has been a journey, but a beautiful one from ideating, designing it, and then being laid off right in the middle of designing this. We were going to move our entire family to Tennessee. We were in California our entire lives. And it was like right before that whole move, I was just about to tell my work that we were moving and then I got laid off. So I was like, okay, we're going to switch. And I moved everyone here. And then I was like, I'm going to take a break and I am going to focus on this full time. And that's what I did. And I'm so excited to now have the thing in my hands. I don't know if you could see it, but to be able to share this with other lawyers who are really going through really hard times and not sure how to feel better in their nervous system. So we could talk a lot more, but I'll pause there about gratitude itself.
This is specifically for attorneys.
This one is, but you'll maybe resonate with this. I'm starting, which by the time this podcast comes out, it will be live. I am going to be offering a weekly, it's called the midday recess, because within the journal, and the way that I created it is it's this 3-minute gratitude practice in the morning called the morning brief. I have the lawyer terms in there. And it's got a daily affirmation and then a lot of space for how you wish to see your day go. It's like, it's an intention space, setting space, because I really feel like if you can be intentional and proactive on how you want to see your day go, you're a lot more likelihood to actually have success in it. And it's really, it can be something as small as I want to, feel good today. But I wanted to give the user the ability to use that space how they want to. Sometimes I put, my to-do list that day, or just my top 3 things that I want to feel that day. And then there's this box on the right page. So the left page is the morning brief. And then the right page has this midday recess box. And it's a somatic tip, a mindfulness tool. It takes less than a minute. And it's just something that I offer on a daily basis already in the journal to help people de-stress in the moment. I could read the one that I had today, which was briefly identify one colleague you could ask for input if needed. Knowing social support is available, even if it's not used, buffers stress by increasing perceived resources.
Oh, that's a great pathway to create.
Yeah. And I love that one. And I use it so often. It's come up actually a lot recently with some of my friends who have been going through difficult times. And I was just like, well, I know she's going through this grieving process or potential grieving with a terminal illness in her family. And she just like didn't know what to do with all of that potential for grief, right? That was coming so soon. And I told her, I know a death doula. And just sharing that, she was like, I just feel so much better knowing that I have something that will help me. Some sort of support is available for when that time comes. And it really does have that, buffer of stress to have that sort of perceived resource available. And so I'm going to be offering that as a weekly email with one midday recess. It's going to be called the midday recess when I launch my website early 2026. So I'm hoping for a February website and midday recess launch to really help people and broader audiences, not just lawyers.
So I love the gratitude aspect of all of this, because we know that if we start the day with this is going to be a horrible day, this is going to go wrong, the whole day is going to suck because you just laid that out there. You have that expectation. So whether or not it was going to be a bad day, you just made it one. We have the choice of putting our feet on the floor in the morning and going, today's going to be a great day.
Yeah, I love that. And that's where I also I like that there's a daily affirmation too, because if you don't know what to say or what to focus on, it's there to give you something to focus on. My journal, it's a 12-week long practice or quarter long, and every week is got a weekly theme, and the affirmation ties to that weekly theme. So I just restarted my journal recently, and I'm in week 2, and that theme is resilience and asking for support. And so today's daily affirmation was, I ask for help when I need it. It's a sign of strength. So your intention could be just focusing on the fact that you have support, right? I'm sure everyone has some sort of support in their life and that they can ask for support. That's so hard to do, but you start small and you grow from there. But yeah, that's why I also started with lawyers, not only because I'm a lawyer, but I feel like, lawyers are trained. I know we're trained to look for the worst case scenario, and we are trained to look for risks and focus on what's not there. And so gratitude is really re-changing entirely how we've been trained. And it just shifted my perspective completely. Like I didn't even know what was happening. I didn't know the science. I didn't know. I was just doing it. And then I was just feeling better. Our nervous systems are so taxed. And the gratitude, it's just an easy, really free. It's, it costs 3 minutes in your morning to practice, at least the way that I've presented it, and many others have as well. It doesn't take that much time, and a consistent practice can really, really shift your mind, but also from a, like, not just a mindset, it's more of a body, right? Your brain, it's increasing from a scientific level, like your dopamine and serotonin levels, which are those like feel good neurotransmitters, right? And it's activating that parasympathetic nervous system, which is really helping to regulate that stress. And I think that's what's lovely about the midday recess, is because it's giving you a cue on how to regulate in that moment. When you're in times of stress, like you don't have time to think about like, oh, what should I do today? I'm super stressed out. And so this is a tool that you can just kind of turn to on the page of, I'm feeling really, really tapped out today. Okay, what's one thing that I can do to pause and really like be present in the moment? And I think I just started feeling lighter. It was kind of like the biggest shift that I felt. But also, I felt like I could speak my truth more because I was reminded of my purpose, which I'm really excited to start diving deeper into that research a little bit more. I don't come from the science research, but I'm just so fascinated by all of it that I'm excited to dive even deeper.
Well, so that particular area is growing right now as far as research goes.
Oh, yeah.
The finding purpose part of it. One of the things that actually shed light on that most recently was the Blue Zone longevity studies. What they discovered were that there were two things that were pretty important for longevity. These people that are living to be 120 years old, they have a sense of community, but they have an ongoing sense of purpose. As soon as you lose either one of those two things, you are more likely to pass because you waste away. So that's really interesting. And I am diving into more of that science as well, because everybody's talking about it right now. We live right now in a time where we are more connected than ever through cell phones and computers and emails, but we're not connected. Many people don't even know who their neighbors are.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was one of the reasons we moved to Tennessee, for that sense of community. And it feels like an oxymoron when you say that. I say this out loud because our family and our roots are in California, and my husband and I are from there. We don't know anything else. That's how where we were raised. We grew up. Neither of us lived anywhere else for more than, I did a summer in New York and a winter in London, but that was it. We just came here twice for different reasons. But the sense of community, we just kind of took that leap. And we have not been here very long. And we just moved into this house in the middle of 2025. And we already have such a strong sense of community in our neighborhood, in the wider Middle Tennessee area. Like, it has been absolutely critical to us feeling the joy and the happiness, and so much more joy. But also my kids are thriving because we're in a community that, like, there's a lot of kids, and it's kind of like going back to where we were, like our roots many years ago, when you're like, you think of, growing up on a cul-de-sac or with other kids, and it was safe to play outside and people didn't really worry. That is what we get here, which we didn't have in California. And so that's been really special. It's interesting that you say that, because it's true, right? We're so disconnected, even in an era of unlimited connectivity. But I think the hardest part is discernment. And it's something that that is the hardest part, I think, of being a new entrepreneur, is discernment, right? Who do I learn from, and what do I take and apply in my business? as a new person just starting out, and when's the right time to do all the different things that I want to do. And discernment is just so hard, but it's interesting.
So dive in a little bit about the science of gratitude, because you brought that up a few times. So let's look at that, because the human brain does have a negativity bias. It loves to hold on to that one little thing that went wrong today and discard the 500 positive things that happen, even if they were small.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm no scientist, but I just know from lived experience how much now my perspective is shifted to see the positive in my day. And I don't go now without a day because I've built the habit, which I love that your podcast is all about, building practical habits to build a consistent gratitude practice so that now my brain sees more positive, more joy, more abundance than it used to, right? I was trained to constantly see what didn't go well. I was constantly told what I didn't do right. As many professionals are, you miss something, your manager is harping on that. And it's a human, natural, negative bias to find what didn't go right. You're looking at your performance review and you're like, but what about all the thousands of things that did go right? And you're hyper focused on this one thing that didn't go right. But in law, like one small mistake can have a profound impact. And so that is why we're trained that way, to protect the clients. And so my whole concept of this practice is it's a 6-minute practice. It's called 1/10. It's called the 0.1 daily gratitude journal because lawyers bill in 0.1 increments, 6-minute increments. And so my whole philosophy around it is you spend so much focus on trying to bill every inch, every minute of your time. Use 6 minutes for yourself. It is life changing. I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing right now today, only a year later, having had so much growth and so much change in a span of less than a year, from losing my job to moving across the country with no family, to rebuilding roots, to building a business, to launching the product, to finding funding. It all happened in less than a year because I didn't get laid off till May, early in the year. And I attest that to gratitude, right? It opened my neurotransmitters. It gave me more capacity on a neurological standpoint. I feel like when I said I felt lighter is because I had more capacity from a brain science perspective. And it really does feel that way. And it's quite fascinating. And I know there are studies. I think the UC Berkeley, was it the Greater Good Science Center? They did a study and they said that just 2 minutes of gratitude journaling a day for 21 days can be significant to reduce stress, improve sleep, and increase overall well-being. That's just 21 days. And, I think those numbers shift depending on the person and how consistent you are. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to do it every single day, but you need to be consistent, right?
Yeah. So this is actually a technique that I use in counseling, especially with kids, because I get kids in my office and all that they are focused on is the post that nobody clicked on, the grade that wasn't high enough, the thing that they didn't do well enough. So I start every session with 5 positive things that happened during the week. And when we first start, they can't ever come up with things. They're like, oh, nothing good happened this week. It was a horrible week. Okay, well, I had 5 good things happen this week. I had a really great cup of coffee. I got to go on a walk during sunrise, and it was beautiful. My teenager asked to spend time with me, so we went out on a walk. Then it becomes easier and easier. I have to come up with the first few times, and then they can come up with 1 or 2 things. And then it starts to grow. And by the time we've been working with each other for 3 months, they're able to come in with an entire list of positive things that happened that week. And in that one small practice of being able to find something positive every week, it shifts their outlook on life in general.
Totally. It's so true. And I love that you bring that up because I started a gratitude practice with my family And we do it every single night at the dinner table. And my kids look forward to it. I have very young kids, okay? 1, 5, and 7.
Oh,
And we did this when we moved into this house. So in the summer, we probably started it in the summer or the fall. Actually, yeah, I think once I got my journal, because my kids are very, like, they know exactly what I'm doing and they're all about it. And as soon as we got it, it was like, oh, well, are you going to make one for kids? Because they really wanted to be a part of it, right? And they wanted something for them. And so what we did was we started going around and saying what we're grateful for every single day. And like you said, it didn't take that long for them to catch up on what they could be grateful for. And these guys are young. I'd say maybe after the twice we did it, and they're so smart. You forget how smart these little humans can be. And
yeah.
they will say, now my 1-year-old can't talk, but we still give her her turn. We ask her, and eventually she'll be able to say something.
Yeah.
She's turning 2 soon, but she gets it, right? And I think she is now at least thinking about it now that it's been a few months that we've been doing it. Very soon she'll be sharing in that, but they look forward to it. They remind me now. There is no like ambiguity if we're doing this. It's like, all right, who's going first? And what's been also remarkable about it is my daughter is very shy. And so she never wanted to go first. And literally a month ago, I talked to her teachers about this because I was just like, something shifted in her.
Mhm.
And she now, majority of the time, wants to go first.
Yay.
And it's crazy because I think from practicing this, she feels safe in her body to now express how she feels with others and share it.
And it's so important. Like, we as adults, we forget that our kids learn everything from us. So if our focus is always, oh, I had such a bad day, this didn't go right, that didn't go right, our kids are not going to learn how to do that either.
Yeah. It's been so beautiful to see how you can implement these types of things from a very early age. And they stick with them. These will be core memories.
Absolutely. So when my kids were little, because mine are now 17 and 20, we did the same thing every night at dinner time. Everybody had to share at least one positive thing that happened through the course of the day. And if there was something big that happened during the course of the day or the week, we had a jar. And we'd write it on a sticky note and we put it inside of the jar. And then on New Year's, every year, we would sit down and we'd go over, look at all of these great things that happened over the course of the year. Because you forget about them too. Like my soccer team won or whatever. You don't think about that later on. So that was something that we enjoyed with our kids when they were younger.
It's so funny. Again, perfect segue into the second half of my book, which I don't think I got to. The first half, the first morning, the morning brief is 3 minutes of gratitude and intention setting and acknowledging the affirmation. And then there's the midday recess, but then there's for any time during the day that you need to turn to. And then the evening is called the evening close, legal pun intended. And it's where you track your wins. So you don't forget, what did I accomplish today? And it can be super small, but also I have an impact level. So was it a small thing that I accomplished that day? Was it a medium weight thing in terms of impact or a large impact? And then how did that make you feel? And there's some prompts on, did it make you feel empowered? Did doing that thing make you feel authentic or happy or appreciated? But what I love most about that section is you're tying back how or who that helped somebody. So before you even write what you did, or you can do it in backwards, it says I helped or advocated for, or like who benefited from your acts of service by what you did that day. You're really connecting it to who you served. I think lawyers, working professionals, parents, you're focused on the to-do list. I like to call it the done list. At the end of the journal, there's a thing called the quarterly done list, so that every week you can move it to the quarterly done list. And so that every quarter you've got a really long list. If you go into a performance review, you can talk about it very easily. You can share it. But also on a weekly basis, you can review it when you're doing your one-on-ones and be like, and remember to share it. I don't think that people remember to share their wins enough until it's performance review time, and then it's too late. And so I wanted to give people the space to not just acknowledge it, because it also goes hand in hand with gratitude and a good remembrance, but also from a practical perspective to help you be successful in your job and in life. And as lawyers, like I said, we start in the law or any profession. You start because you want to help people, right? It was a dream, right, come true for me to be a lawyer, first in my family. And you forget why you're doing it when you're in the trenches. And so as you're writing down what you did that day, bringing it back to who you served by doing that, like who benefited from your tasks, brings you back to the purpose that I was telling you about. And purpose is so, so important.
Oh, absolutely. We have a lot of people right now that are actually really struggling with what is their purpose. We've a lot of people that are floundering because they just don't know, who am I? What am I supposed to do? And that's important.
Yeah. And I think that when your nervous system is in a constant flight or fight, you're not able to even get to the point of thinking clearly enough to get to your true purpose in life. And kind of our hustle culture has kind of murkied that in our brains and our nervous system in this constant social media era of all of this content coming at us, right? So I think that that's where gratitude in this practice really fits so sweetly. It's because then you're recalling, like, you're uncovering, you're getting your nervous system calm to a place where then you can actually think about what it is you want to do and be in this world.
Absolutely. So, thank you so much for sharing with us the projects that you've been working on and this wonderful journal. If people want more information and they want to contact you or purchase your journal, how do they do that?
They can go to my website, which is not there yet, but there is a page called, well, it will be. There's clarityprint.co is the name of my business. It's Clarity, CLARITY, print.co. And you can go and sign up for the midday recess, which will be sent to you midweek. And hopefully you'll be able to purchase products very, very soon. There should be at least a pre-order page by the time that this airs, and there'll be more products to come. But at the very least, if you're not a lawyer, I highly recommend the midday recess. It will really help you. Thank you so much for having me, Mary.
Well, of course. Thank you. And for all of our viewers, please remember to like, share, subscribe, and follow.
Thank you.